I think for the African system, the AFAS, we have managed to think of a concept using country fora. And the country fora system is not only government workers, but the NGOs, the private sector, and all the other sectors are involved in it. So from that pool of resources, and when you multiply it by how many countries you have in Africa, then you have a very wide pool of resources which are not necessarily government, but extremely wide in the experience and expertise.
Today, the private and public sector are very well connected in the real world, in spite of at the organization appear some different vision, but in the real world, the connections between the private and public sector is very realistic. It's impossible to make a division today of the role and the importance of one sector to another.
The clientele of GFROS is really our regional networks, who are then reaching down to the extension agents, who are then reaching down to the farmers. So we really hope that our regional networks will have capacity to help the extension agents so that the lives of small-scale farmers will really be impacted. That's our vision in the next few years.
For me, most important is a group who is convinced about the topic, the domain. They want to network with each other, that they know what to exchange, what could be the value added by this exchange, that they have a group, at least a core group, who really feels committed to each other to contribute to the network, and that they see that there is a community interested in what they are doing.
You see, when you organize a network, and that network is demand-driven, the people who start it all together realize and feel the need to organize. I think that's the very first step for coming up with a more unified approach, cooperative people in the network. There is that willingness to work together and move together in that direction as one. So it's demand-driven.
Networking is extremely important. It is only through networking that you learn about good practices and good policies anywhere in the world.
You can understand what happened in other places. Maybe very different to your country, but you understand that it's possible to share and to learn about the other experience.
Because of experience sharing and learning. So we want the best global practices so that you can modify and adapt it to your own situation in your own country.
So networking is a key tool for enhancing knowledge exchange, knowledge learning, and that is why it's very important for us.
Well, the future, I think it is in the people, but also in what we are embedding ourselves into. I think the biggest gap in extension and advisory services is in knowledge sharing, lesson learning, and so on. And it's going to continue for a long, long time, and especially in where the global focus is in food.
I think most of today the network in agriculture research, in extension or whatever, they are putting focus in the small farming. And also, most of the national and public resource in the agriculture ministry or in the rural development ministry, they are putting focus into the small farming system or small farming organization. That is because most of the studies coming from the private or public sector, they recognize that today the small farming play a very important role in different levels.
My experience with extension work with farmers is that the farmers are the real subject matter experts. And extension workers, they always do their best job if they just concentrate on facilitating, on bringing in other farmers from other sides, also experts such as researchers and so on. But big part of good extension work is facilitation.
I see GFROS taking an active role in influencing the direction of research and development. Because in the past, extension, rural advisor services were moving on their own without having a close interaction, relationship, particularly in determining the research agenda, because it is the research that produces knowledge, produce information. But this must have to be relevant information needed by the farmers. Now, if this information are not demand-driven or market-driven, who will make use of them? It's going to be a waste of resources being undertaken in research if the technologies, the resources are not, demanded or being used by the expected users or the clienteles or the beneficiaries.
There was a lot of focus on the regional networks and how they have come together and really consolidated themselves and moved ahead. And I think what the last speaker said at the end about going far rather than going fast was really the take-home message.